Hello, everybody, and welcome to an early Gameweek 26 episode of the FPL Wire. Now, the main pod is going to happen on Thursday with Zoff and Bakkar, but it made sense to do a little bit of an early thoughts video right now. Obviously, we're going to be podding on Thursday because we're waiting for what happens in the FA Cup results on Tuesday night, what happens on Wednesday night, what happens in the Liverpool and Arsenal game, so that we get a clear picture of what blank Game Week 28 looks like. We get a picture of what Game Week 32 might look like, and we might have a clearer picture of chip strategy, which might or might not involve our wildcards being deployed. There's a lot of conversation around that on Twitter, but more on that later in the stream. Now, I thought I'd look back at what happened in Game Week 25 and just some thoughts, where my head is. And I'm hoping that this is about 6 to 8 minutes, not wanting to strive too long. So let's see what happens. Right, first up, I wanted to talk about the chip usage. Now, when I'm looking at this slide and when I'm looking at this data from live FPL, I'm rubbing my hands because 48% of managers in the top 10K have used their free hit. 28% of their managers in the top 10K have already used their wildcard. Now, I think I have an opportunity to make 30, 35, 40 points on these managers. Even if you're somewhere outside the top 500K, 600K, I think about 38% of the managers overall have used their free hit chip already. About 18, 19% of managers overall have used their wildcard chip already. There is tremendous opportunity to make gains if you are somebody who's going to be paying attention from this moment onwards until Game Week 38. I guarantee you that you will make gains on your rivals. 85% of engaged managers have probably already used their triple captaincy chip. If you haven't, there are a few double game weeks in the future where you can take advantage of this situation. And 27% of managers in the top 10K have already used their bench boost chip as well. So yeah, what I see here is potential gains, gains, gains. So just pay attention, don't give up. This is, if there's ever a time to stay switched on in FPL where most people tend to get confused with so much data, this is the time because this is where you make gains in the season. Now let's at a little data in terms of what went by in Game Week 25. Now look at those two West Ham players on your screen. Danny Ings with an XG of 1.75, Jared Bowen with an XG of 0.81. West Ham are likely going to blank in Game Week 28, but they have a decent looking double in Game Week 29, and they might appear on the radar of a few people, especially if somebody like an Ings manages to stay fit. But we have to see how the fixtures, etc., go on. Just quickly look at West Ham's fixtures. They do have Brighton, Villa, two decent fixtures, and then their double in 29 is really, really good, where they have Southampton at home, and then obviously a tough looking Newcastle at home. Their underlying data is very interesting as well, which we'll delve into deep. Actually, why deeper? Let's go into their underlying data right now as well. When I'm looking at data, this what you see on the screen is XG for the last 6 matches. West Ham are just outside the top 5, so the underlying data pretty good. When it comes to XGC for the last 6 as well, they're just behind Chelsea. Their underlying data is good. So, has Moises' team been unlucky, etc.? Just pay closer attention to know what's happening there. But again, you take that result against Forest with a pinch of salt because Forest on the road have been the worst team in the league on the road. I think they've scored something like 3 or 4 goals and conceded tons. So, yeah. Phil Foden 1.66. Do not get tempted yet. We don't know what's going to happen with Pep, and I'm a Mahrez owner, so rotation does happen in that spot. But you pay close attention whether Foden is in the good books. But with a blank looking likely in 28, with a double looking not likely in Game Week 29, I doubt many of us are going to go there. If somebody is in the market for a last minute punt, and you're looking to wildcard in Game Week 27. The City versus Newcastle game on Saturday is the early kickoff. In case you get early news, might go for a punt. But again, it's Newcastle who've been defensively pretty solid. Iwobi 0.66 XGI. Owners might feel a little bad looking at those numbers. I thought Everton did fairly well against Aston Villa for the first 60 minutes in the game, but then Villa got back towards the end. Ollie Watkins, speaking of Villa, you see 1.56 XGI there. He's somebody who a lot of FPL managers are going to be looking at. If you look at the fixtures now, they've got a game against Palace at home in 26, confirmed games in 28 and 32, which are the blank game weeks against Bournemouth at home and Brentford away, and an average looking double in 29 against Chelsea and Leicester. So Aston Villa is a team where a lot of managers are going to be paying attention. Even if somebody's wildcarding in Game Week 26, I think Watkins is somebody who a lot of managers are probably going to be looking at. What else jumped out when you're looking at data? Haaland with 0.56 XGI, McNeil with 0.53, Mo Salah 0.53 shots in the box and 3 chances created. Hit the bar, created that good chance for Gapco right at the end, hoping that tomorrow against Wolves is better for us. Sarabia, punt paid off, and he still has a good fixture against Liverpool to go in this double. So good. The owners are looking good there. Harry Kane 0.45 XGI. Spurs did nothing in that terrible game against Chelsea, where not much happened because Spurs set up very defensively astutely. Chelsea didn't have many chances, but Kane's just inevitable. Keeps trickling. He doesn't do blanks. He gets those 5-6 points. Even if he's not explosive, he does get those points. All right, now looking at this is XG data for the last 6 matches. This is an important thing where a lot of us own players from City, Brighton, United, Arsenal, and Liverpool already. Now, these teams are in the top 5 for XG. So, we might get uh, enticed by the wildcard and we might look at solve the puzzle and we might give up players from teams like Arsenal or City because they don't have a double in 29 and we're looking to maximize 29. And what might happen is you actually lose just really good attacking players, especially if you're looking to lose Arsenal players, because if you're looking at their fixtures, they're really good attacking fixtures now. Bournemouth at home, Fulham away, Palace at home, and then in 29 Leeds at home. So the fixtures just look good for Arsenal. And that's one of the things which is making me pause with regards to the wild card. Where, am I making my bet with players I might not want in the future? You're probably going to be looking at teams like Chelsea or Leicester, depending on what happens in the FA Cup. So food for thought. That said, you're looking to maximize opportunity in Gameweek 27 also, where you're going to jump on assets from Brighton and Hove Albion and Brentford, both of who feature in the top 10 for XG in the last 6 matches. Anything else that jumps out? No. At the bottom, we see Fulham at 5.11 XG in the last 6 matches. Just haven't looked like the same team without Mitrovic. You see that game against Wolves and you see it. They're just not the same team. Aston Villa bottom half the table for XG in the last 6. Spurs also bottom half the table, which is why the Harry Kane conversation is a conversation, because Spurs, while being defensively resolute, aren't producing great numbers in attack. Uh, that's it from this chart. Let's look at XGC. This is the interesting bit because Chelsea, let me just read out the fixtures for Chelsea. They've got Leeds at home in 26, Leicester away in 27, confirmed game in 28, Everton at home, and then they've got a good looking double against Aston Villa and Liverpool at home in 29, Wolves away in 30, Brighton at home in 31. And they're top of the XGC chart. Now, Chelsea to me present like an opportunity. And when I know Zoff will probably talk me out of Chelsea assets, but he does have a little bit of a bias because he gets to get down. I think the players are there. I think they need to click one game or 2 games and the results will come. Worth pointing out though that Thiago Silva is injured now for the next 6 weeks. So Fofana, Badishali, and Koulibaly are going to share minutes. And how much is losing Silva going to affect? We'll know. West Ham underlying numbers, like I mentioned, last 6, top 5. And then surprisingly, there's Leeds United. This blew my mind. I was like, I had to double check it twice. I went to the FPL website and checked if this data is accurate or not, and it is. They did concede under 0.5 XG in 3 games against poor to middling opposition. So, yeah, we don't know what Leeds are. I don't think there are any FPL assets that jump out at the moment, but it's just interesting to note. Brighton and Arsenal in the top 5 for best XGC in the last 6. Brentford, City are right there too. So, people who we are probably looking at in the top 10 teams for XGC. So, if you're looking at Raya, if you're looking at Estupinan is somebody who needs to be there in your team when Gameweek 27 comes, because I think his role has shifted slightly where Mitoma wide and Estupinan is just in the box. He's making a lot of runs in the inside channel. I know it looks like he is injured for the FA Cup tie, but I did read that De Zerbi said it's nothing serious, so I'm expecting him to be back pretty soon. That said, that injury doubt with Estupinan and Solly March, who look like 2 of the most important players to have from that Brighton team in Game Week 27 for the double, has me think whether if I should be wildcarding or not, especially because we don't have certainty on Brighton, etc. as well. Now, on the other side of the table, Forest and Bournemouth look like the teams to target, as in you want your attackers to play those teams. Leicester, Villa as well, Palace as well. All of these teams are conceding chances for fun. Palace, I must point out though that don't that that number is slightly misleading because they played a lot of tough teams in the last 6 matches as well. So yeah, Everton and United. United's XGC hasn't been that great. But I do think that the absence of Casemiro has to do with that. He's back now. That's it. We've played 10 games in the last 31 days. I wonder if exhaustion might be a factor. Right now, XGI in the last 6 matches. I want to talk about Ivan Toney. I think if you don't have him and you're slightly on the fence of whether you get him or not, his data in the last 6 matches has been really good. Top of the charts amongst all attackers. And worth pointing out, all the stats that you see are these are custom tables from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you want to become a member, do click on the link in the description below. If you're liking what you're seeing and if you're liking this spontaneous bit of just early thoughts for Game Week 27, click on the like and subscribe button. Share this video on Twitter. We're trying to just grow the volume of content we're getting out there. So yeah, Ivan Toney plays a Fulham in Game Week 26 without Palinia. And I think that's a very, very important factor. So if somebody wants to prepone, because people are worried about the 8 yellow card thing, but he's just a really good pick in isolation against Fulham at home without Palinia as well. So Paulinho, Palinia, I probably got the pronunciation wrong, but yeah. Necktie has done well, 4.27 XGI. I'm hoping he plays tomorrow because he's due. And Arsenal do have attacking fixtures, good looking attacking fixtures in the future. It was interesting to see Jared Bowen 4.2 for third on the table for XGI in the last 6. But it's worth pointing out that 50% of this XGI is coming from XA. So he's creating a lot of chances. He doesn't have quite the goal threat that he used to have back in the day where he was an inside forward. So worth pointing out, March up there, Bruno Fernandes up there again. Heavy chunk of Bruno Fernandes's XGI comes from his XA. Mahrez and De Bruyne are up there, but I think we're probably going to be not looking at City assets given that they're likely going to blank at 28 and don't have a double in 29. So yeah, Nunes up there, but I'm hoping he plays. Any other names that jump out? Harvey Barnes. If Leicester lose to Blackburn, their assets, I think for us to be interested in a Game Week 26 wildcard, either United or Leicester need to lose their games and need to not have a blank in Game Week 28. Then there's a greater opportunity to wildcard. McAllister's in there because of the number 10 role. I think Dezobi did mention in his press conference as well that he likes McAllister up front because he's capable of finding the last pass. That's interesting. That's it. Let's move on. Yeah, this is one of the things which is the conversation whether should you be looking at wildcard in Game Week 26 or not, or whether you should be wildcarding in Game Week 27. It obviously depends on what happens on Tuesday and Wednesday night. But even outside of that, most of us own players from Arsenal. We own 3 Arsenal. Arsenal have a good run of fixtures in the next 3 or 4. We own Haaland. It's not going anywhere. We own Rashford. Great fixture in 26 against Liverpool. And United have a good run of fixtures for the next 2 or 3. We don't care about that. Even Liverpool, we saw they were top 5 or 6 for XG. And yes, they have a tough fixture against United this week, but the week after they have a game against Bournemouth as well. Most of us plumped on Taco, who have a fixture against Forest. You don't mind playing him as well. Yes, you don't want to play Trippier, but in my opinion, Trippier, I never mind playing Trippier, even if it's against Man City, because he's just so good. So your team this week, especially with Arsenal assets, City assets, United assets and Everton assets isn't looking too bad. What's the opportunity in terms of fixtures just in 26 that we might jump on? You're probably going to jump on Brighton assets. Now, they have a game against West Ham at home, but we saw that underlying data is pretty good. So how comfortable are we? I don't know if it's a standout fixture. Chelsea is somebody we'd be looking at because they're playing Leeds at home. Now, yes, Leeds' data was good, but Chelsea are not in a good moment. I feel like when I'm jumping on Chelsea assets, I want more information. I want 1 win, 2 wins to get more confidence in that team before I'm plumping on them. And then there is Brentford. Yeah, Brentford, I think if you're wildcarding, jumping on Brentford this week is good because they're playing a Fulham at home without Paulinho, and I think that's an important factor. It could pay off. So yeah, whether you're wildcarding or not depends on what happens in Game Week 26 or 27. I don't think you need to close your mind to a Game Week 26 or a Game Week 27 wildcard. Once everything happens and once we know what Game Week 28 and Game Week 32 is going to look like, you Have an open mind. Doesn't matter if you've taken a -8 or a -12. Is your team in a better position? Is this the best time to wildcard for your team? Have an open mind. Don't indulge in sunk cost fallacy where I've taken a -8 or a -12. It's stupid to wildcard in Gaming 26 because I just took a -8 or -12. Even though the pivot in strategy might be putting your team in a better position. But yeah, I get some players wanting more, because 2 or 3 days might be a short time in which you wildcard or not. So that might be putting people to pause. More thoughts on this once we know what Gimmick 28 and 32 is going to look like. I thought it'd be an 8 to 10 minute video, but it turned out to be a 15 to 16 minute one. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you're sharing this on Twitter. Make sure if you want to let me know if you want to see more such early thought dumps. You don't have to wait until Thursday for our content as well. And see you Thursday. Take care, guys.